Good afternoon, everybody. It is meteorologist Ames Weather Forecast here, and welcome back to another video. If you guys are wondering why I posted at 5 o'clock and not 12 like I was supposed to, or it's actually probably 5:30 when this came out, it's because my friends from Miami came up from their hurricane. They only come like once a year, and we never see them. And they wanted to do a hike, and it was actually a really long hike in the Appalachian Mountains. So I apologize. I just got home. We're about to go to the pool, so I'm kind of doing this in a little rush. I had a little window of time, so this is what I'm doing. They're kind of a little waiting for me a little bit. So I apologize again, because I know you guys really need this information since there's a lot of new changes. Without further ado, let's get into the video. But again, before we get into the video, also be sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel. It really means a lot. But we have a lot of new updates on Dorian, so let's get into the video. So we're going to be looking at the 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook here. Again, we have two systems right here, but we're going to be focusing on Hurricane Dorian right here. So it is actually getting extremely close to the Bahamas right now. Its outer bands are starting, or its little farther outer bands are starting to bring in a rain already. So they hopefully people have left the Bahamas because we could have direct impact as a major hurricane. There's without a doubt of a possibility of having a Category 5. Here we have it at 130 knots and 150 miles per hour, guys. Extremely strong storm right here. Minimal central pressure is actually at 945 millibars, guys. So that's actually extremely organized. It's very organized. It has a lot of rotation and a lot of vorticity, and it has circular formation. So it's actually very organized. And it's actually moving at 8 miles per hour now. So it's actually slowing down, which is actually going to really bring in issues. And it will bring in a lot of rain for the Bahamas, and again, it's going to be slow moving and could potentially go up the coast and affect the Carolinas as landfall. Now we looked at that, we're going to be looking at the satellite imagery here. And this is actually very impressive. The eye has formed extremely fast, and it's actually impressive what it looks like right now. Again, we have these outer bands. Let me get the epic pen here. Here we have the outer bands of the system that are starting to affect the Bahamas and heading towards the direction of the Bahamas. Again, we have the biggest bands on the eastern part of the storm. Here we have the major part. The eye is not really so much the central part. It's more kind of the northern part of the storm and east or western part. It's not exactly in the middle, but here we have extremely strong winds right here. Here we have the eye. If you guys were wondering, this is the eye right here. This is actually the eye is actually one of the best part of the storms, but you don't want to be in the eye, because if you're in the eye, you're going to have to go through the outer bands 2 times or more, which will be the worst part of the storm. That's where you see the maximum winds. That's where you see, again, at this point, 150 miles per hour. That's where it is. We have a lot of okay, I'm going to have to use the yellow. It's so dark. And it's so we're seeing a lot of rotation, which is vorticity, which is starting to intensify as we go on, which is not a good sign for these areas in the Bahamas. Again, it's not incredibly far from the Bahamas Islands, and look at these islands right here. They are extremely close to the area, so I hope tourists and people who are visiting or living in the Bahamas have moved away or have at least evacuated or somewhere safe. So here we have these tropical storm force winds in the orange color. They've actually extended a whole lot. And we also have these hurricane force winds and the eye wall, again, that are starting to extend. Again, we have a huge difference right here. There's actually a possibility it doesn't even make landfall in Florida, Georgia, or South Carolina. There's actually a possibility it doesn't even make landfall whatsoever in the United States. Of course, it's going to make landfall in the Bahamas as a major hurricane, which will be very devastating. But I'm talking about the United States. There's actually a possibility it doesn't even make landfall. It can get very close, but again, there is a chance it affects parts of North Carolina coast. That's where we could have the closest landfall in the United States. So again, we actually do have hurricane warnings in effect for the northern and eastern islands of the Bahamas, and the southern island we do have hurricane watches. What's also news, we do have tropical storm watches in effect for the eastern coast, for West Palm Bay, Fort Lauderdale. You guys have some tropical storm watches. Again, there's actually a possibility we see a lot less rain than expected and a lot less wind. The only thing is, it could bring in actually somewhat some tropical storm force winds for sure. It may be off the coast, but it still could bring that threat. So it's looking like it could become a major. It's going to be, again, a lot slow moving, very, very slow moving. By Monday, it's not even moving that fast. We should have landfall by tomorrow in the Bahamas, which would be a big deal. Hopefully, there's a possibility I'll actually hang out with the same people tomorrow and we go to Atlanta. So again, I really don't know if I'm going to have a later upload or not. Again, here we have this 4 to 5 day cone. It looks like it does become a bit more faster moving as it continues. It looks like it could weaken back just to a regular a weaker category 2 hurricane, and there's a chance it could make landfall on the islands of Rhode Island, or not Rhode Island, sorry, North Carolina. This is where we're going to be focusing on the tracks right here. Again, here it is for sure. It's going to hit the Bahamas, which is hopefully, again, the people are prepared. 1 or 2 models are favoring hitting Florida, but it's already starting to make that northwest turn already. There are many possibilities. Dorian has always been very unpredictable right now. Again, it can go like this. It could go back into Florida, could go back into Georgia. It can even go like that. It can also possibly go up the coast, which is favored, or it can actually hit the Carolinas. There are so many possibilities. I don't remember a hurricane that has been so unpredictable, but we actually have a couple models that are showing hitting possibly South Carolina. There's one going right on Savannah, which will actually be really bad. But the cones, the general cone is actually favoring, not even hitting anywhere in the United States. Honestly, that's going to be very surprising. It went from a huge, devastating storm that could impact so much of Florida and Georgia to now possibly not even hitting the United States, which is very fascinating to me. But it's going to get extremely close to North Carolina, which will bring in, of course, obviously tropical storm force winds possibly all the way to Raleigh, and it's going to be a huge deal. So again, we still need to keep an eye on this. Now we're going to be looking at the model intensity guidance. It's, again, at this point, we have 2 possibilities. We actually have a couple models favoring getting to a category 5. We have 1, 2, 3, about 5 models showing category 5. We have 2 that could stay within the next 36 hours. Category 5, which will be right before the Bahamas landfall. But in general, it is looking like it should start weakening from now on. We will be seeing it not become category 3 until maybe within the next 36 hours, which is here, all the way to the next 72 hours. So again, we still should see a category 4 for a bit longer time. And it's not going to be weakening as fast as earlier we thought the past couple of days, because it won't be going inland. It shouldn't be going inland, so it shouldn't be weakening as fast. So again, it will be weakening as we do have a shot of cold air in the Carolinas at that time, and we have cooler waters off the Carolinas. So that is why we see it weakening. It doesn't look like it should get stronger if it goes up the New England coast or anything. We should have it go back to a category 1 within the next 96 hours or 132 hours. Again, even the times are predictable. Just Dorian's very unpredictable. We just have a general direction. All we really know for sure is that it will be taking a northwest turn. It will be hitting the Bahamas. That's kind of all we know for sure will happen. So now we're actually going to be looking at the winds now, and this is going to be a very dangerous right here. Here we have Hurricane Dorian. It could actually become a category 5. Again, there's a big chance, or not a big chance, let's go with 30% chance that could happen. I really don't want to say that's going to be out of the window, because it isn't. It should make direct landfall by Sunday. Again, the eye will be going over the northern islands for about a day or so, so it's going to be very tragic. Again, very slow moving, and then it starts to kick in a little bit. It starts to move a lot faster now, and it looks like by Thursday should bring in a lot of possibly tropical storm force winds all the way to, again, Raleigh, Augusta, Clemson, and it goes. This is looking like, again, it's going to be very fast moving. It looks like we could have possibly landfall. It's not going to be like right on like this. It's not going to be direct like that, but it will be like somewhat much sort of the eye somewhat will make a little bit of landfall on the coastal areas of North Carolina and South Carolina border. Again, the eye is like right on the tip of the coast, so that could classify as a landfall. And then it looks like, look how big this system will be. This is like the size of the southeast region. Look at the size of this system. It's incredibly big. It looks like it might intensify a bit more at 111 knots there, even getting to possibly 114 knots, 123 knots. Looks like it strengthened a bit, and then it looks like it actually looks like it might might not hit Nova Scotia like we thought, but again, it could be a close call. And then we have this next system out here that we might have to worry about. Now, if you're looking at the radar quickly, so again, here you have it. This is actually a little backed up. Let me go apart. So here we have it. For some reason, GFS is showing 965 millibars currently when it's 945. It's been like this for a long time. Again, we should have landfall. It's going to be getting extremely strong at 950 millibars, and we see it go up the coast and gets about twice as big as it was earlier. Now we see the GFS is actually favoring possibly a landfall earlier in South Carolina and possibly even Virginia. You guys could have a huge impact on the system. Now that we looked at that really fast, we're going to be looking at total cumulative precip, and this has changed a whole lot. Again, yesterday we saw like 20 inches out here for the coastal areas of Florida, but now that's not going to be taking that northwest turn earlier. We could actually see the most amount of rain, I almost said snow, right here for South Carolina, North Carolina, possibly getting from ranging 7 to possibly even 18 inches. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys all stay safe, and see you guys in the next video.